Welcome to our fifth draft here in the Indianapolis Arrows franchise. We have had very good success drafting players in this series, and it starts with Ray Gonzalez, the number 9 overall pick back in season 1. He is turning into our star in this series, and I am not surprised at the progression that he's made. In 3 full seasons now, going on his 3rd full season, he has been very durable. He's been pretty productive, starting 254, then up to 260. You'd like to see the improvement, but then here in year 3, he's made the jump, hitting 287 at 863 OPS, exactly the progression that you want to see. And obviously, he's very good defensively and will be our shortstop of the now and the future. In season 2, we had the number 1 overall pick, and we selected Terrell Blake. He is close to making his MLB debut, but there is really no rush. He is 20 years old. He's got some time to develop at the AAA level. He's had 2 back-to-back seasons that have been very good there, and I'm hopeful that he will develop even more. Jackie Cochran came in a little higher of an overall than your usual 18-year-old. He is a B potential prospect. He was drafted in the first round in season number 3's draft. He's already got a full minor league season under his belt, and he's already at 77 overall at just 19 years old. He's got pop to his bat. Like, if there's a guy that's going to hit 40 home runs in our organization consistently, it's Jackie Cochran. And then last year in the first round, we drafted Roy Page. He was the first non-ranked prospect that we drafted in the first round in this series, and he has some time to develop. He is technically a top 50 prospect in all of baseball, and he is doing pretty well here in his first season. I would say that he's not really doing too bad. There are other prospects that we've had in this organization across the drafts that we should probably give note of. First, last year, we drafted Kenny Marrero. He was our 3rd pick last year, and he is very good. He is our top-rated prospect as far as top 50 rankings go. But probably my favorite draftee was John Field in the 5th round in season number 3. He has been excellent, and too bad I did not have a save to save the stats from last year. Otherwise, John Field would have won the minor league prospect of the year. And I'm thinking about giving it to him anyway and giving him that boost. And he can possibly win it in back-to-back seasons because he is doing excellent so far this year. He came out of Penn State. He is 23 years old. One of those guys you just love to have in your organization. He's going to be very good. He's 95 potential as well. Back in season 1's draft, Ray Gonzalez wasn't the only great draft pick. We drafted an 18-year-old relief pitcher in Jacob McDonald, and since we drafted him, he quickly moved up to the majors in season 2, which was a quiet move because we had some injuries, so we just needed to get some bullpen help, and he came up and immediately made an impact. He had a 107 whip in his first season. Then, season 2 was a little bit of a dip, but then the last 2 years, he's been great. Like, definitely one of those, underrated guys in the organization. Last year, late in the draft, we drafted Billy Schneider, a shortstop who's going to provide some good depth. Is he going to make an impact this year? No. Next year? Maybe. But the year after that, I'm expecting him to just add some depth at shortstop, especially backing up Ray Gonzalez in the organization. You got to have guys like that. In the outfield, we drafted a very good prospect back in season number 1 in Bruno Reyes. Reyes was a very good contact hitter right away, and he has not moved up to the majors yet, but we just don't have a need for it. But he is a guy that eventually will be moved up. He's only 20 years old, and he's going to be an average guy. He's going to hit for average. And then the final guy I want to highlight was Fred Scott. He was the fastest guy we drafted back in season 3's draft, and he hasn't quite hit the ball well at the major league level, but he's got that speed. If anything, he will be a good pinch runner if we needed to just have him as just that. So here we go, entering our 5th draft here in the series, and it's been excellent so far. We have drafted really great. A different challenge this year, though. We're drafting all the way down at 27. This is the first time we are drafting behind the Cleveland Guardians. They are drafting at 17. And here we go. We're looking at this from a different perspective here at the tail end of the first round. So with the first overall pick, the San Francisco Giants will select Peter Wolf, outfielder. And this is a shocker. He is 165 draft ranked, and we have him at 166. He went to the University of Houston, and he had a great year. Don't get me wrong. He hit over 400, had an on-base percentage of over 600, but he only had 1 year as a starter. He entered the MLB draft, and I mean, this is kind of a lightning in the bottle selection here. They're hoping that he can continue to be this good, but I don't know. This is a risky number 1 pick, to be honest with you. There were other safer options, and they decide to go with the guy that's having a great year, but we've only seen 1 year of production. Peter Wolf, we'll have to keep an eye on him to see if he ends up being anything at the MLB level or even making it to the MLB. The D-backs choosing in the top 3, Estevan Reyes, who was the number 1 overall MLB ranked prospect in this entire draft, and he goes number 2. So number 3 overall in this draft, and it looks like the Sox are picking here. They have selected top 3 for the second time in this series. They select Armando Diaz. The White Sox are a team that I thought were going to be our rivals in this series because they were kind of drafting around us for most of the series, and they make a really good selection right there. Now, the guy I was targeting here at number 27 was Juan Santos. He is 18-year-old, one of the better hitters in this entire draft. Now, he was a lefty. He's only 5'7", but he would definitely grow. He's only 18 years old, but he is a guy that I really, really liked. But the Braves scooped him up 3 picks before us. I scouted him, and like I said, I had him tabbed as the best prospect that we would at least have a shot at. The MLB had him ranked at number 64. We had him ranked at number 2. So a big difference in ranking there, but we do miss out on him. So now at pick 27, there are a couple of really good options, to be honest with you. Brandon Worth is one of them. We know he's going to be a low floor guy or a high floor guy, 85 potential to 95. He might be a A potential, and he looks like a very, very good pitching prospect. He's going to be somewhere in the high 50s to low 60s overall, kind of comparable to where John Field is that we just highlighted earlier in this episode. But there is another guy I have my eye on, and it's Cesar Calderon. One thing I know about him is that he's going to be an MLB pitcher one day. So I really want to make sure I'm drafting guys that I know are going to be MLB talents. So with this selection, I choose to select Cesar Calderon, an 18-year-old prospect who could be B potential. Hopefully he is. And we select him with our first round selection. Now, I was thinking about him and Worth, who is the best 2 out of those 2, but I decide to go with a guy that possibly could have a higher overall right now and really propel himself to possibly boost that potential. Because remember, players can gain potential based on their performance, and I'm going to bank on that. Well, Brandon Worth makes it to pick number 39, where the A's select him, so he did not make it too far behind our selection at 27, 12 picks later. So now here we are at round number 2, pick number 63. There are a couple of guys I'm thinking about, but I got to talk about Leo Del Villar. He is a 18-year-old prep prospect. He is a catcher, something that we have not had at all in this series. We have not had any catching prospects at all. I think this is a pretty low risk selection here. Yeah, his potential could end up being a D, but it could end up being a B as well. So with this selection, we will take a shot on Leo Del Villar. Now, one thing he is known for is calling a really good game at catcher. He is very, very sound, and I think that this guy is going to be excellent defensively. Now, Salvador Perez right now is our catcher at the MLB level. He is not great defensively, but he still throws out runners at second base, which is very, very surprising. And I think that Leo Del Villar can be an eventual, possible prospect for the MLB. But we'll have to see what that potential comes in at. If it's low, this could be a bad selection, but we take a chance. So really, we took 2 risky picks there, especially in the first pick, because Worth was there. We decided to go with another direction. So here we are at the competitive balance round B. Now, I believe we have this pick because Ian Happ signed somewhere else. So now we here are picking at pick number 73. And we're going to go ahead and quickly run this card up. Artolo Colon was the one guy we had scouted here, but I decide to take, why not, a third risky pick and picking Manny Rosales. I decide to stock up on pitching prospects because we are competing now, which means that at the trade deadlines, we're making moves and we're trading away pitching prospects and other prospects that could land us a bigger chip. And that's kind of the moves we're making. So I decide to make another risky move and get another prep pitcher that could eventually be a trade chip. This is just a different draft for us. Usually we were drafting for like sure things, guys that are going to be great in the future. Now we're drafting more for depth in our organization and not necessarily for guys to be superstars. We've drafted extremely well in the first 4 drafts, and now we have that luxury. So once again, with pick number 101, we decide to take another 18-year-old prospect in Ahmad Warren. Now, we do not have any film on Ahmad Warren, but we do know that he could possibly be somewhere between 63 and 97 potential. Another risky draft pick there, but we don't have many guys scouted back in this back half of the draft, so we're kind of taking risks. So here with pick number 131, I always in the 4th round and after that look at 4-year starters. And one guy I'm looking at is Geraldo Serrano. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I do know that he's going to be at least a C potential and possibly an 83, up to an 83 potential. But he is a college player at Penn State. He is a good hitter, and I'm going to select him with this pick. I always like selecting, 4-year starters here in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. Those guys end up usually being like really good depth guys. You're talking about Fred Scott. You're talking about other guys like that. Like we can just have in there that might be ready for the MLB sooner than most prospects would be. So now in the 5th round at pick number 161, we decide to draft a guy that has excellent potential. He was hidden in this draft and he falls all the way down to the 5th round. Now for sure he's going to be 85 to 99 overall. So this could be a potential prospect we're drafting here in the 5th round in Mejia. Now how good of a hitter is he going to be? Probably average. Defensively, he's probably going to be good, but that's probably going to be his calling card. He's going to be a defensive infielder. And if he comes in at A potential, which it's a very high likelihood that he will, this could end up being the best selection in this draft. He was probably the lowest risk pick in this entire draft. So now on to our final pick, and we have no data on any of these guys. So we are literally taking a flyer. We decided to go with Tim Rockwell, the center fielder. We know he's going to be 61 to 85 potential, but that could also be a D. It can also be a B. We don't know. We're taking a risk here. It's really pretty low risk, but it's the last pick of the draft. We have no data on this guy, but hopefully some of these guys with wide ranges of potential hopefully end up, obviously panning out to being high potential guys. So let me know what you thought of that draft. In my opinion, that's kind of like, well, we need to wait till the ratings come out when we sign all the draft picks. But to me, that was probably our weakest draft. I didn't see a lot of prospects that I loved in this draft, especially picking at 27. It was hard because a lot of the guys usually in the draft, I'm drafting like top 10 and we're getting some pretty good draftees there. But this year, we did not get that. Like, it was definitely harder than other years. And now I know why a lot of these teams that draft at the back of the draft are drafting at the front pretty soon after that, because they're like terrible drafters and all the good prospects are gone. So we'll see what happens with our signing of the draft picks. We'll probably get to that point next episode, and we will start the All-Star break and get through the All-Star festivities. But we don't have a ton of guys getting votes, which might put a chip on our shoulder a little bit. Meneses is going to be an All-Star more than likely. He is hitting 323, but I don't know. Besides him, I don't see anybody else that would probably get an All-Star nod. We'll see. So let me know what you guys thought of this draft class. I had fun, actually. It was just a little different of scouting this draft class and figuring out how to draft in the back of the draft. But a lot of our guys that we wanted were gone early, so we didn't get that opportunity to get them. But hit subscribe, hit that like button. Hope you guys enjoy this episode and we get one more draft under our belt. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I hope the rain don't come in November, 'cause the summer went way too fast. I'm trying real hard to remember all of the good times and memories we had.